The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched like a mountain of stone and glass, shining with banners of countless worlds. The voices of alien delegates echoed, some harsh, some soft, yet all filled with the same mocking laughter. They spoke of the missing seat, the one that had been empty for years, the seat of Earth. "Humans are gone!" one alien with scaled skin hissed, his sharp teeth catching the light. "They turned their back on us because they could not handle rules," another, tall with glowing eyes, added with a smirk. "Or perhaps they feared us. They were always loud, always reckless, never thinking of tomorrow." Laughter spread like fire, filling the vast chamber. Yet not all joined in a shadowed corner. An elder alien with pale silver skin and weary eyes stayed silent. He remembered battles from long ago. He remembered how humans fought when they were pushed. He whispered to himself, "They do not forget. They never forget." But his voice was lost under the noise. The council leader, draped in golden robes, raised a hand. "Earth has abandoned the council. They close their gates. Their ships no longer answer our calls. Let us move forward without them. They were never true allies." The words rang heavy, and the chamber erupted again with cheer. Yet beyond the borders of that proud hall, in the far reaches of space, a different story unfolded. On lonely trade routes, rumors began to drift. Merchants whispered of strange human movements, entire convoys of ships traveling silently with no lights, no signals, only shadows in the void. Some said they saw entire asteroid belts stripped clean of ore. Others claimed to have watched human ships vanish into storms around dead worlds, never returning in a smoky tavern on a desert moon. Two smugglers spoke in hushed voices. "I saw them," one said, his voice trembling. "Not one ship, but dozens, all black, no markings. They didn't attack. But the way they moved, like predators, they are building something." The other narrowed his eyes. "You tell anyone that and you'll end up dead. The council does not care. But the humans, if they are preparing, better to stay out of their path." Meanwhile, on Earth, silence ruled. No messages left the planet. No ambassadors spoke to other worlds. The gates remained closed. Their cities, hidden under new shields, no longer broadcast light to the stars. The galaxy began to believe Earth was fading into dust, but in secret. Underground hangars trembled with the sound of engines. In skies hidden by storm clouds, black warships took form. Their hulls gleamed with unknown alloys, weapons locked into place, pilots trained in silence. Humans had not disappeared. They were preparing. Back in the council chamber, the mockery only grew stronger. "They isolate themselves," said a delegate with insect-like wings. "Perhaps they have destroyed each other. I would not be surprised if their wars finally ended them." "Yes," another boomed. "Humanity was always too violent, too wild. They never belonged with us." Again, the elder with silver skin lowered his head. He spoke to no one but himself. "You fools. They belong to no one but themselves." Years passed. The council grew comfortable. They fought wars, traded riches, and forgot Earth. Their maps marked the human systems as empty space. Their young laughed when the old spoke of human strength. But the silence of Earth was not weakness. It was patience. It was the deep breath before the storm. One night in the great chamber, a small alarm flickered across the council screens. A strange transmission moved through the stars. Not a signal of distress, not a cry for help, but a single line of cold words. "The silence ends today." The laughter died at once. The chamber fell into hushed confusion. Delegates leaned forward, their eyes wide. The council leader stood, his voice cracking. "Who dares to speak?" The words repeated, stronger, shaking the hall itself. "The silence ends today." Panic broke out. Some shouted for guards, others for fleets. No one dared to speak the name, but every heart knew it. Every thought turned to the empty chair, the one they had mocked for decades, the seat of Earth. In the quiet that followed, the elder finally raised his head. His voice was steady, though his hands trembled. "I warned you," he said. "The humans have not forgotten." And in that moment, for the first time in centuries, the council felt fear. Fear of the ones they had mocked. Fear of the silence that was never weakness, only warning far beyond their sight, in the black of space. The engines of 1,000 warships stirred awake. Their shadows stretched across the stars. Their silence spoke louder than any laughter ever could. The story was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn what Earth had been preparing in the dark. The desert moon of Chiron was known for its silence. Yet tonight the cantina buzzed with nervous voices. Traders, smugglers, and mercenaries sat in shadowed corners, their words hushed as if afraid the walls might hear them. A heavy-set merchant with metal implants leaned close to his companion. "His drink untouched, I saw it with my own eyes," he whispered, his tone sharp with fear. "Not one or two ships, but an entire fleet moving without lights. Black as the void, they had no insignias, no council beacons. They were human ships." His companion, a thin alien with green skin and quivering hands, frowned. "Impossible. Earth is silent. They have been silent for years. The council says they are finished, their fleets dismantled. Their army's gone." The merchant shook his head, his eyes wide. "Do you think the council always tells the truth? These ships were new, stronger than anything I've seen. They moved like predators, and when they passed, my senses went blind." Around them, others pretended not to listen. But every ear in the room caught the words. Whispers spread fast, rumors of human fleets building in secret, stories of entire asteroid fields stripped bare, whispers of dead moons glowing with strange lights in another part of the galaxy. A patrol frigate from a minor empire drifted too close to the border of human space. The crew joked as they scanned empty systems, confident they would find nothing. Yet their laughter stopped when their senses caught shadows. Dozens of them moving as one, before the captain could send a signal. The screens went dark, the ship vanished without a trace. Back in the council's core worlds, the rumors reached the ears of spies and diplomats. In a private chamber, two council envoys argued. "This is nothing but fear," one declared, his wings flaring in annoyance. "The humans are broken. They are ghosts." "Ghosts do not strip entire planets of resources," the other replied, his eyes narrow. "Ghosts do not erase fleets without firing a shot," the first scoffed. "And what do you suggest? That Earth prepares for war? Against us?" "They would not dare." The second leaned closer, his voice almost a whisper. "Perhaps they dare because they no longer see us as equals." Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, merchants kept vanishing. Supply lines ended in silence. A mining station sent a distress signal, claiming black ships had passed within its orbit. The signal cut off mid-sentence and was never heard again. On a quiet cargo freighter, a young human smuggler spoke to his alien partner, his voice low. "You've seen the council laugh at us. You've heard their insults, but tell me, why do you think Earth stayed quiet?" The alien shifted nervously. "Because you wanted peace," the smuggler smiled faintly. But his eyes held something colder. "No, because we were preparing. Every insult they gave us became fuel. Every year of silence became a blade sharpened in the dark." The alien swallowed hard, realizing too late that he had partnered with more than just a reckless smuggler. Back in the tavern of Chiron, the merchant who spoke of black ships suddenly fell silent. A shadow fell over his table. A figure wrapped in a long, dark cloak leaned down. The hood hid the face, but the voice was unmistakably human. "You speak too freely," the cloaked figure said. The words calm yet heavy. "If you value your life, you will forget what you saw." The merchant froze, sweat dripping down his face. I meant no harm. "I only told what I saw." The cloaked figure straightened, their boots heavy against the floor. "Then consider this your only warning." With that, they vanished into the night, leaving the entire cantina in fearful silence. By the time news of the cloaked figure spread, fear had grown into something larger. Empires began to send scouts. Hoping to confirm the truth, none returned. Some left fragments of messages, voices filled with terror, before silence consumed them. The shadows too many. One recording ended in static. "Their weapons cut through everything." Another fragment ended in silence. And then nothing. In the grand chamber of the council, delegates argued louder than ever. "These are lies." One shouted, "Merchants seek attention. Smugglers crave fear. There is no human fleet." Another slammed the table. "Then explain the vanished ships, explain the mining stations stripped of life, explain the scouts who never return." The council leader raised his voice. Enough. We will not waste resources chasing ghosts. If Earth wants to hide, let them. The galaxy belongs to those who act, not those who sulk in shadows. But even as he spoke, a shiver spread through the chamber. For deep in their hearts, every delegate feared the same truth. Humanity was not hiding. Humanity was watching. Humanity was building. And when the silence finally broke, it would not be whispers in taverns or rumors on trade routes. It would be thunder across the stars. The galaxy thought Earth was gone, but the galaxy was wrong. The great chamber of the Galactic Council shone with blinding lights. Banners of empires swayed from the high ceiling, and the voices of 100 species filled the air. The meeting was supposed to be about new trade laws. But as always, the absent seat caught everyone's attention. The empty chair of Earth stood in silence at the far end of the circle. One delegate, tall with wings that shimmered like glass, laughed loudly. Still empty, still silent. How many years has it been now? Humanity hides on their broken planet like cowards. Another, with scaled skin and burning red eyes, joined the mockery. Perhaps they destroyed themselves. That would not surprise me. They were too violent, too wild. They do not belong in this council. The chamber erupted with laughter, the sound bouncing against the walls, but not everyone laughed. In the shadows of the chamber sat the elder with silver skin. His eyes clouded with worry. He whispered under his breath, "Fools! You do not know what silence means for humans." The council leader raised a hand for order. His robe gleamed with gold as he spoke. "Enough! We cannot waste time remembering a people who turned away from us. Earth is no ally. They chose isolation. They have no voice here." The delegates nodded, their laughter slowly fading. Still, a few muttered among themselves, voices laced with unease. Stories of vanished fleets and black warships had spread too far to be ignored. Yet the council chose pride over caution as the debate dragged on. A sudden flicker ran across the chamber's screens. The symbols of trade and law vanished. Replaced by static, a low hum filled the air. Delegates leaned forward, confused murmurs rising. "Technical error," one alien hissed, slamming a claw against the console, but the static twisted, reshaped. And then a voice cut through the chamber, deep and sharp. It spoke in clear galactic tongue. "The silence ends today." The laughter that had filled the hall hours ago vanished in an instant. Delegates froze in their seats, hearts pounding. The words echoed again, louder. "The silence ends today." The chamber shook as if the voice itself carried weight. Some delegates rose in panic, wings flaring, claws twitching, their voices overlapped. "Who dares interrupt the council? This is a threat. Find them now. Security, trace the signal." The leader's face turned pale as he shouted, "Identify the source, now!" Technicians scrambled at their consoles. But every screen showed the same message. No location, no origin, just the voice. A delegate with forearms slammed his fists. "This is rebellion. No one challenges the council." The elder with silver skin finally stood. His voice cutting through the chaos. "Listen to the words. You mocked them. You believed their silence was weakness, but it was not. You know who this is." The chamber fell into a heavy silence. Everyone stared at the empty seat at the far end of the circle, the seat of Earth. The council leader tried to steady his voice. Impossible. They would not dare, but his words lacked strength. Sweat gathered at his brow as the voice came again. Slower this time, almost like a warning. "We have watched. We have waited. And now we return." Delegates shouted over one another, some demanding fleets to be deployed, others calling it a bluff. Fear and pride clashed in every corner of the hall. One insect-like admiral hissed, "If it is Earth, then they should be crushed before they rise." The elder shook his head. "You do not understand. They do not rise halfway when they return. It is with everything." In the midst of the uproar, the chamber's massive doors opened. Guards rushed inside, their faces pale. One dropped to his knees, his voice shaking. "Council, our outer scanners have detected movement at the edge of the system. Hundreds of ships, no identification. They are approaching fast." The hall exploded with cries. "Impossible! It cannot be them! Activate the fleets!" The leader's voice cracked as he ordered. Show us the feed. The screens lit up. At first only stars appeared, empty and calm. Then one by one shadows emerged. Black shapes cutting through the void, dozens, then hundreds, then more. Their hulls glistened with strange alloys, their formation precise. They moved like hunters, silent and merciless. The council gasped in horror. One delegate whispered what everyone now knew. Humans. The elder closed his eyes, a bitter sadness in his voice. You mocked the silence. Now you will pay the price. As the chamber trembled with fear, the voice returned one final time, filling every heart with dread. We are no longer your allies. We are your reckoning. The screens faded to black, but the terror remained. The council, once full of arrogance and laughter, now sat frozen, knowing the silence of Earth had ended, and what followed would change the galaxy forever. The chamber of the Galactic Council stood at the center of a world made of marble and light. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy filled the circle, their voices clashing in a storm of pride. Their robes shimmered, their eyes burned with arrogance. But one seat, the seat of Earth, remained empty. One insect-like delegate with glittering wings pointed toward it. Why does this chair remain? He hissed. Remove it! Humanity is no longer one of us. They abandoned the council. They have no voice here. Laughter followed. A scaled warrior leaned back in his chair, his claws tapping the table. Perhaps their silence is shame. Or perhaps they are too weak to return, he sneered. Either way, they are finished. The chamber roared with approval, mocking tones rising like music, yet in the shadows. The silver-skinned elder kept quiet. His gaze lingered on the empty seat. His voice a whisper no one cared to hear. You laugh at silence, but you do not know what silence means to them. The council leader, wearing golden robes heavy with jewels, lifted his hand. Enough, we have more important matters. Trade routes, territorial disputes. These are the issues that shape our galaxy. Earth has turned its back on us, and so shall we turn our back on them. Before the debate could move forward, the great screens that circled the chamber flickered. At first, only static filled the air, harsh and grating. Delegates frowned and muttered in confusion. Technical error! One barked, slamming his hand against the console. But then the static cleared, and a voice emerged, deep and cold. It cut through the noise like a blade. The silence ends today. Every sound in the chamber died at once. The laughter, the arguments, the mocking words, all gone. Only the echo of that voice remained, heavy and sharp. Delegates shifted in their seats. Some looked at each other in alarm. Others barked at guards. Who dares to interrupt the council? Find the source immediately. This is treason. But the voice returned, stronger, louder. Shaking the very walls, the silence ends today. Panic spread across the floor. The leader tried to steady himself. This is a false message, an enemy trick. Trace it now. His words sounded hollow against the weight of fear. Technicians scrambled, their screens glowing with useless lines of data. No source, one shouted, his voice breaking. We cannot locate it. It is everywhere at once. The silver-skinned elder finally rose, his voice trembling but clear. You know who this is. You know what silence means to humans, I warned you. All eyes turned to the empty chair. The delegates who mocked Earth now stared in horror. A whisper spread like fire. Humans! Before anyone could speak again, the council doors burst open. Guards stormed inside, their faces pale. One dropped to his knees. High Council. Sensors on the edge of the system detect unknown fleets. Hundreds of ships approaching, no markings. They move in formation. The chamber erupted. Shouts of denial and fear colliding. Impossible. Send our fleets. Crush them at once. The leader shouted, his voice cracking. Show us the feed. The screens flickered once more. This time the void of space appeared, quiet and endless. For a moment relief swept the chamber. Then a shadow drifted across the stars, followed by another and another. Dozens of ships appeared, sleek and black. Each one carried a design the council had never seen. Their hulls swallowing the light. Delegates gasped, one whispered. They return. More shadows emerged. Hundreds of them, their formation perfect. Their engines silent. They looked like hunters gliding through the dark. And then, across the screens, the same voice returned. This time without distortion, calm and merciless. We watched while you laughed. We prepared while you mocked. We returned not as your allies, but as your reckoning. The chamber fell into chaos. Some shouted for immediate surrender. Others screamed for war. The leader's face turned pale. His words stumbling, activate the fleets, defend the council worlds. But deep in the heart of the hall, the elder with silver skin closed his eyes. His voice was soft, but carried through the madness. You should have feared the silence. On the screens, the Black Fleet drew closer. Thousands of warships hidden by decades of shadows now rose into the light. The galaxy that mocked Earth now saw the truth. Humanity had never been gone. They had been waiting, preparing, and now their return had shaken the stars themselves. The Council, once arrogant and united in laughter, now sat divided by fear. The silence of Earth was broken, and nothing would ever be the same again. The void of space trembled with the approach of shadows across the Council's screens. The Black Fleet of Earth emerged, not in dozens, not in hundreds, but in waves that blotted out the stars. Their hulls shimmered with alloys unknown to the galaxy, their formation flawless, their silence louder than any battle cry. In the chamber, the delegates stared in terror. The insect-winged envoy whispered, his voice breaking, This is impossible. How can they have built so many? A scaled warrior slammed his claw against the table. Activate our fleets! Meet them with fire before they reach our borders. The leader tried to keep his voice steady, but it cracked. Send the order. Every battleship, every cruiser, now. Hold nothing back. Commands flew across the galaxy. Fleets scrambled from dockyards. Warships rose from orbital rings. The skies of council worlds filled with ships rushing to defend the heart of the galaxy. Their engines roared as they formed lines, waiting for the humans to come closer. But as the fleets gathered, fear grew. Even the bravest admirals could see the difference. Council ships moved with pride but lacked unity. Their formations wavered, while the human ships advanced like a single living creature. On the bridge of a council flagship, an alien admiral shouted at his crew, "Lock weapons! Prepare to fire on my mark." Yet before he could give the order, the humans moved in perfect silence, their warships spread out, encircling the council fleets in moments. It was as if the humans had rehearsed this very battle for centuries. "Impossible," the admiral muttered, sweat dripping down his scaled brow. "They move faster than us." They knew exactly where we would form. The first shots blazed across space. Council cannons fired bright energy, streaks of blue and green light tearing through the void. They struck the human ships, but instead of breaking shields, the blasts bent, twisted and vanished. Gasps filled every command room. "Their armor, our weapons do nothing." Then the humans answered. Silent beams of light cut across the fleets. Each shot passed through council shields as if they were paper. Whole ships split apart in moments, breaking like glass. The screams of crews echoed through channels before being cut off. In the council chamber, the delegates shouted in chaos, "Retreat! No, stand and fight! They will destroy us all!" The leader slammed his fist down. "We are the council. We cannot fall to one world." But even as he spoke, his eyes showed fear. The silver-skinned elder rose, his voice calm but heavy. "It is not one world, it is humanity. And humanity is never one world. They are many, united when you think them broken, stronger when you think them weak. On the battlefield, ships burned, council fleets shattered in every sector. Admirals screamed orders, but none could stop the tide. Human warships shifted like shadows, striking at weak points, surrounding ships before they could escape. A desperate message echoed across the system. "They are everywhere. We cannot stop them. They cut through everything." Then silence back in the chamber. The leader's golden robe no longer looked like strength, but like weight dragging him down. He whispered to himself, "How did they build this? How did they hide this?" The elder looked at the empty chair of Earth, his voice low. "You gave them years, decades of silence, and humans do not waste time. They prepare." As panic consumed the delegates, the screens lit once more. This time it was not static, but a view from the heart of the human fleet. A massive warship, larger than any the galaxy had seen, loomed in the center. Its hull gleamed with black metal, its weapons lined like rows of teeth. A voice filled the chamber. "Calm and cold, Council of the Galaxy, you mocked our silence. You believed us broken, you believed us gone. Today you see the truth," delegates trembled. Some fell to their knees, others whispered in terror. "We return not as your allies, not as your servants, but as your reckoning. The silence is over. Humanity has come." The transmission ended, leaving only the sight of the endless fleet drifting closer. Shadows swallowing the stars one by one. The Council, once proud and arrogant, now sat in silence. Fear hung heavier than chains. The galaxy's strongest fleets had been shattered in moments, and the humans had not even broken formation. The Elder's voice, quiet but steady, was the last to echo in the chamber. The silence was never weakness. It was the sharpening of the blade, and now the blade has struck. Outside, the 1,000 warships of Earth advanced without mercy. The day of laughter had ended. The day of fear had begun. The galaxy had never seen such silence. Entire sectors, where once fleets roared and trade routes pulsed with life, were now graveyards of drifting wrecks. The human warships had moved through them like storms, swift and merciless, leaving only fire behind. In the council chamber, chaos ruled. Delegates screamed at one another, their voices sharp with panic. "We must surrender before it is too late," cried a winged envoy, his feathers trembling. "No! If we surrender, we lose everything," snarled a scaled warrior. Slamming his clawed fist down, "We must fight to the last ship." "Fight with what?" shouted another, her voice cracking. "Our fleets are shattered. Our colonies burn. We are not fighting, we are dying." The council leader sat slumped, his golden robe now dull under the light. His voice shook. "They destroyed our strongest fleets in hours. Not days, not weeks, but hours. How can anyone stand against that?" The silver-skinned elder raised his weary eyes. "You mocked their silence. You thought it weakness. But silence to humans is not peace, it is preparation. And now the galaxy pays the price." Reports streamed in across the chamber screens, each one worse than the last, entire star systems declaring their surrender. Empires sending desperate messages begging for mercy. Admirals abandoning their posts. Colonies left unguarded on one council world. A planetary governor looked up as the sky filled with shadows. Hundreds of human warships hovered above the atmosphere. The people gathered in streets, staring in awe and terror. A single message beamed down: "Lay down your weapons. The war is over before it begins." The governor fell to his knees, whispering, "We cannot stop them, we can only bow." Across the stars, the panic grew. Some leaders tried to resist. Their fleets rushed into battle, but the result was always the same. Human ships cut through them like blades through water. Energy beams tore through shields. Missiles shattered defenses. No strategy worked. No technology stood. On the bridge of a failing dreadnought, an alien admiral shouted, "We are surrounded!" "Fight until the last breath," his crew obeyed. Weapons blazing, yet the human ships danced around them, silent and precise. Within minutes, the dreadnought split apart, its burning remains drifting cold in space. Messages of despair filled the council channels. "They are everywhere. Entire fleets gone. Our colonies vanish one by one. We begged for help, but no one comes." In the council chamber, the leader tried to speak over the cries. "We must negotiate. Humanity must have demands. We can still reason with them." The elder shook his head. "Reason is gone. You mocked them, insulted them, betrayed them. They will not bargain. They will decide." The chamber fell into a cold silence. All eyes turned to the giant screens as they lit once more. A live feed showed the human fleet pressing forward, thousands of ships moving as if they were one. In the center, the massive flagship loomed. Larger than cities, its black hull gleamed, and its presence swallowed the stars. Then a voice filled the chamber, calm and controlled. "Your fleets are broken, your worlds burn. The galaxy that laughed at Earth now trembles. We did not come for talks, we did not come for mercy. We came to remind you who we are." Delegates fell silent. Their earlier pride shattered. One whispered, "They will destroy us all," another whimpered. Why did we mock them? Why did we laugh? But the voice continued, steady as stone. You thought silence meant fear. You thought absence meant weakness. But we used every moment, every insult, every betrayal to prepare, and now your fleets are dust. The words struck harder than any weapon. The leader covered his face with his trembling hands. Around him, once proud rulers sat broken, their empires powerless. Still a stubborn voice rose. "We can resist, we must resist," shouted the scaled warrior. His words rang desperate. "They cannot conquer us all." The elder's eyes darkened. "They already have." The screens shifted, showing system after system where human fleets hovered above surrendered worlds. On every planet the same message shone, submit or be erased, and one by one, the planets lowered their flags. In a small corner of the chamber, an envoy whispered, his voice shaking, "This is no longer a war. It is judgment." The human voice returned, final and cold. "The galaxy trembles not because we are cruel, but because you forgot who we are. We are humanity. And we return with fire, with steel, with silence turned into strength. Remember this day, for it is the day the galaxy learned fear." The transmission ended, but the terror remained. In every corner of the galaxy, the truth was now clear. The age of mocking Earth had ended. The age of fearing Earth had begun. The council chamber was no longer filled with laughter. The mighty rulers of empires who once mocked Earth now sat in silence. Their eyes darted to the screens above them, where the human fleet lingered like a storm waiting to strike. Thousands of warships hovered in the void, their shadows swallowing entire systems. The leader of the council, his golden robe heavy and stained with sweat, leaned forward. "We must speak with them. We must find their terms. Perhaps they will show mercy." His voice trembled as he looked to the others, but none dared to agree. The silver-skinned elder rose, his face grim. "They will not come to you as beggars. They will not ask. They will decide." The silence was not absence. It was judgment. Before anyone could answer, the chamber screens flickered again. The image of the massive human flagship filled every corner of the hall. Its black hull glowed faintly with energy, its size dwarfing even the largest council stations. Then the voice came, calm and steady. "Council of the Galaxy, your fleets are gone. Your colonies lie broken. Your empires kneel. You believed Earth was weak. You believed silence meant surrender. You were wrong." The words echoed like thunder. Delegates froze, some covering their faces, others lowering their heads. The voice continued, colder now. "We did not return for revenge. If revenge was our goal, your worlds would already be ash. We returned for order. For too long, this council ruled through arrogance and mockery. That age ends now." The chamber trembled with whispers. One delegate muttered, "They mean to rule us." Another whispered, "They already do." The leader tried to speak, his voice small. "What do you demand of us?" The screens shifted, showing 1,000 human warships lined in perfect formation. Their weapons glowed faintly, enough to remind every soul in the chamber of their power. The voice answered, "First, Earth will no longer sit among you as an equal. Earth will sit above you. This council belongs to humanity now. Your decisions, your laws, your wars will pass through us. Or they will not pass at all." Gasps filled the hall. Some delegates rose in protest, but the voice pressed on. "Second, you will repay what you mocked. For decades you laughed while we prepared. Now you will supply what we command. Resources, technology, manpower. Your empires will give, and Earth will decide." The insect-winged envoy shouted, "This is slavery." The voice cut him down with a tone sharper than any blade. "No, this is survival. You laughed at silence. Now you bow to strength. Those are your choices." The chamber grew tense, but no one argued further. They all knew the truth. The human fleet outside could erase them with a single command. The silver-skinned elder closed his eyes, whispering, "So it has come to this. The galaxy bends, not because of cruelty, but because it forgot fear." Then the voice delivered the final blow. "Third, the galaxy will remember this day. The banners of Earth will fly in every chamber. Our flag will stand in every hall, not as conquerors, but as a warning. This is the price of arrogance. The leader sank into his chair, broken. His voice was a whisper. We accept. One by one, the delegates lowered their heads. Empires that once mocked now surrendered. The galaxy had been reshaped not by endless wars, but by silence turned into fire. The screens faded, leaving only darkness. Outside, the human fleet held its position, engines glowing like embers in the night. They did not fire, they did not move, they simply waited, as if to remind the galaxy that they could return in force at any moment. In the chamber, the elder spoke softly, but every word carried weight. This is not the end, it is the beginning. The Council does not rule the galaxy anymore. Humanity does. The chamber sat in silence, no one daring to argue. Beyond the walls, the shadows of 1,000 warships drifted in the stars. Silent, endless and watching, the galaxy had learned its lesson too late. The silence of Earth had been a weapon, and now it was law.